Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the market close. Well, we get a green day. Just as I was expecting. Ow, sorry. The cat just reached up and grabbed my knee with claws. With claws. So she made a point. She made a point. But yes, we've had a green day. I kind of thought, and I mentioned this, I think, earlier in the week, that once we got past the rate cuts, things were going to look a little bit better. We were going to see a little bit of more stability and more, well, kind of green as usual type end of the week. That's exactly what we saw. Let's jump in. Let's take a gander here at this market. And yeah, look at this. You can see we got a nice green slope going on, new all-time highs again. It's the TSX, it's not that far off from hitting 30,000. Could it do it this week? Could it do it this coming week? Oh boy. Well, it depends. If we have smooth sailing through the coming week, then yeah, maybe. So let's see. Let's see what's gonna happen. I'd like to see the 30,000. I'd like to see it, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind a dip or two as well, because those are always good buying opportunities. But on the market today, it's up almost 1%. It's up 0.96%. Looking at the U.S. market, also up. Also new all-time highs as well, up 0.47%. NASDAQ, up 0.55%. Dow Jones, up 0.43%. Now, there always is a party pooper. We always get a party pooper, and today it's the Russell. The small caps are like, they're like, why is everybody so excited? We're not having a good day. And they're not. They're down 1.01%. Gold, having a good day, up 1.08%. Silver up 2.79%. WTI, oh boy, West Texas Intermediate. So oil is down today 1.24%. And crypto, same kind of idea. Bitcoin down 1.62%. Ethereum 2.90%. All right, let's pull up this heat map and see what's going on. Obviously, we know everything looked great other than oil, and we can see that right here with these energy minerals, like CNQ down 2.99, Suncor down a full 3%, Imperial Oil's down 2.17, Cenovus 3.03. So yeah, definitely some suffering here. Nice little blow, though, in our technology. We're seeing a bit of a rebound with Constellation Software, up 3.4 today. That's not too shabby. Our non-energy minerals, look at that. They're doing pretty darn good. Look at this. Kinross up 5.83. My favorite, London Gold, up 1.76. So not too shabby. Now, this one here, I'm going to pull this up. Now, one of the things that channel members get is I let them know what I'm doing swing trade wise. Now, this morning I did start a swing trade on, well, guess what? Ivanhoe. And here, I'm going to pull up, I'm going to pull this here up. So yeah, I watched this yesterday and I'm like, okay, there's some good strong support in this area right here. And you can sort of see it if you drop a line in. And we're going to do that. We'll just drop a line. Straight line. If you drop it in right about here, you can see we got a level of support right about here. So that's what I was expecting. I was expecting a bounce up from it. So I started a swing trade on this morning. I let the channel members know. So I got in right about here, I think. I think it was 12.93 or 12.83? I got in down here. It doesn't matter exactly where, but this is where I got in, and I had a target for just over 13. And of course, once I get to 13, of course I don't sell. I start my stop losses. So I got the stop losses going, and well, it got up to I was up around 1320, and then my stop loss at that point was around I think at one point I think my stop loss was up to about 1319 or 1317, something like that. But anyway, it did wick back down enough to hit my stop loss. So I ended up selling out, but nonetheless, couple $100 of quick profit or before lunch just from that one little swing. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those little things, and that's the type of thing I do let the channel members know about. So if you want to know the swings as they're happening, then definitely sign up to be a channel member today or tomorrow, or well, probably I would say Monday. Don't sign up till Monday because I'm not going to do any trades the rest of the day. All right, let's get back here. Ivanhoe, right, okay, so we were looking at Canada. Let's look at the United States. That's not the United States. That is crypto. Here we go. This is the United States right here. Not a bad day. NVIDIA, they're down a tiny bit, but of course, there's news, of course, with NVIDIA investing in Intel, and we'll talk more about that one on the weekend, on this week. We've got Apple having a good day. Look at that, up 3.36%. Google's doing good. Oracle, Palantir, Tesla on the rebound today, 2.15%. And well, we got some losers, of course. Eli Lilly down 1.18%, and Meta's down a little bit, down 0.73%. And yeah, here's crypto. I'm going to grab this coffee right now because I got a good old frog there going. Yeah, look at this. A lot of red. We're talking, it's almost red all the way down. We got Bitcoin down. Look at this. Ethereum, XRP's down, Solana's down, Dogecoin's down. Oh boy. That's a lot of and let's go down that little spiral. And you can see, well, we got a few green in here, a few peppered ones. Let's grab some stock. Let's grab some altcoin that I've never, I don't know. What's this one? Let's grab this one here. Mux Protocol. Oh boy. Don't know what that is. I don't think I want to put my money in it though, because it might mux up my finances. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is a coin I don't know what it's all about, but it is worth, it's actually worth $2.17. You could round it up, $2.18. I don't know what it does. It could be related to a game. It could be anything. If you're interested in Mux Protocol or some similar, I call them crap coins because they're like the craps. You throw the dice, you don't know what you're going to get. And same kind of idea here. If you are interested in the crap coins, and there's like 15,000 of them or so, just do your research, check out the white papers, all of that fun stuff. When it comes to crypto, now this is our crap coin of the day, the Mux Protocol. Yeah, enough said. If you can make a lot of money on crypto, but stick to the ones, the tried and true. Stick to your Bitcoins, your Ethereum, your XRP, your Solana, all of that. Heck, even the Dogecoin. Those are the ones that are going to do it for you. All right. Let's hit the chat. Let's hit the chat. I always like to hit the chat here. There we go. I had to find the button to go big screen. Paul, we're starting off here with, we're starting off with Paul. So Paul is just leaving work, 35 minutes, heading home. Hopefully you can catch some of the show, Paul. Paul single-handedly, won this extra episode this week. So you definitely want to catch some of it for sure. Joe is in the house. Let's see. Happy Friday, everyone. Stock markets are up and crypto is down. Yes, exactly. Crypto's down, but the markets are looking good. They're looking fantastic for sure. Stan is in the house with a happy Friday, and I'm keeping my eye on I'm trying to keep my eye on that time because I've been getting a little lax with that bell. I've been getting a little lax. Northern Gal, a happy Friday. Been a while since I caught a live. I know it's been a while. Welcome back. Doorpat, let the great melt up continue. Yeah, it is feeling a little bit like a melt up, that's for sure. The Scratch is in the house. Hello, Candace and everyone. IVN for the win on the long term. Yes, and there's other. I actually have a story as well for this week coming up on Ivanhoe. So there's other news about Ivanhoe as well, which broke, and that might have certainly helped that bounce that I was riding up this morning. So I'll give you a hint. It involves the Middle East. So there's a Middle East connection right now to IVN. We'll talk about that on Sunday. Doorpat says, "Happy Friday, everyone. Is anyone coming to for the Toronto Blossom Conference this Sunday? Looking forward to seeing you." Yes, that's right. So I think this Sunday is in Toronto. I know JJ is going to be there. He was last night in the channel members live stream. He was up telling us all about it. And in fact, let me see here. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to grab a link here for you guys. I'll drop this in the chat if anybody wants to check it out. Now he has nothing on the channel yet. It's an empty YouTube channel, but he is starting a channel called Convos with JJ. If you want to check it out, drop him a sub. That way there, once he gets his first content up there, you can be one of the first to catch it. Maybe JJ is going to be like the next big thing. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm looking forward to checking out to see what he's going to deliver. I'm going to check it out for sure. Rory says, "Hi all, sold ACO, ACO.X for 19% ROI. Cash is at 29, doing some shopping." Nice. Zyborg says, "Happy Friday. I did the same trade on EDV as you did on IVN. A lot of the precious metal stock took a dip right after the rate cut." Yes, they did. But like I said, there's certain stocks that they're going to bounce back, and this is kind of one of them. For sure. Paul is home, was listening. Awesome. Good. You made it home. You made it home. Scratch says, "JJ got a new sub." Oh, there we go. And yeah, let me pull it up. Let me actually pull up the page. This is it right here. Convos with JJ. So I just gave him a little plug, and he was at 15 subs. So he should be at 16 with Scratch. Let's refresh and see if more than just Scratch. Well, no, just Scratch. Yeah. Sorry, JJ. We were only able to scratch the surface for you. Oh boy, that was a bad pun, but I had to do it. Nope, 3 minutes. Actually, 2.5 minutes until the bell, so I'm all ready for that. Paul says, "Sophie, Palantir enhanced, I guess PLTE. Tesla for the green today, a plus 0.78% day. All crypto stuff slightly down." Yeah, exactly. Anything really that has a lot of exposure to crypto is going to certainly be feeling a little bit of pain today for sure. So what can I say? And guys, we got about 2 minutes to the bell. I'm being very conscious of that bell because I don't want to miss it. Today. Let's see. Paul says, "Being slightly diversified sure helps when crypto's down." Absolutely. That's what diversification is all about. Because, if you have all of your eggs in that one basket, and if that one basket is down, oh boy, you're in trouble. So sort of like, I think we had somebody in chat the other day who was saying that more than half of their portfolio was Q day or something like that. It might have been less. It might have been 40%. But that, if you had that amount of exposure to a single ETF, especially one that is investing in a single sector, so tech, if tech is down, oh boy, it's going to be very hard for that portfolio to be in the green, that's for sure. But yeah, a good diversification across different sectors, different asset types as well. So it's not even just sectors. If you're diversified, if you've got you got equities, you got some crypto, you got some gold, maybe you've even got some other commodities outside of gold in there as well. That can certainly create a whole bunch of extra stability in a portfolio for sure. So now, mind you, if you're one of, and there's a lot of you guys who are income investors. If you're an income investor, the volatility, that's when you're making your money. That's when you're making those premiums. So that it's not always such a bad thing. It's really not all a bad thing at all. Let's see. Paul says, I was rough before when I was just a strategy or just a micro strategy, sorry, or just strategy and Tesla. I always want to say micro strategy. I'm still struggling with that. But Barrick is on fire. Ooh, yeah, interesting. Um, I have not. Let's actually take a look and see what Barrick's doing today. I've not seen them yet today. Oh, we're in the Discord, guys. We have a Discord, by the way. Where is my? I thought I had it up. I thought I had one up. I may not have one up. Holy banana bread! How did that happen? Yeah, yeah. It's normally sitting in between these two. That's fine. We'll duplicate my Yahoo tab. And then we'll just turn Yahoo into TMX. Bang, boom, done. All right, Barrick Gold. There we go. Barrick Mining, ABX. Look at that, 9.71%. Oh boy, that's pretty good. I like that. Now, that seems to me that there must be some new. Hey. I just saw the market, the Nightbot. I specifically turned the Nightbot off before this stream started. Let me just take a look and see what the heck's going on. Nightbot, what are you doing? What are you doing? All right, let's see here. Timers. All right, there we go. I turned off the Nightbot again for some reason. Oh my God. Oh my God, guys. Ding, ding. I missed the bell. How? How did I miss the bell? I was like watching it like a hawk. You know what it is? You know what it is? This is entirely Scratch's fault. No, it's my fault, but Scratch distracted me. I let myself get distracted. That was funny. Actually, that's kind of funny. I own it. I'm owning it. All right, back to Barrick. Yeah, look at this. What the heck's going on with Barrick? I'm kind of curious. This seems to be a bigger jump than expected. I'm gonna come over here. Let's actually pull Barrick up on Trading View. All right, Barrick Mining. I want the TSX version. Bang. All right, let's pull them up. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, so look at this. This is big. This little thing here means that there might be news. Let's see. Okay, so it says here, Barrick Gold's shares rose by 5.3% in response to a 0.5% increase in spot gold prices. All right, so basically they're responding to the highs of gold. So interesting. So there doesn't seem to be any one particular catalyst other than gold going up a good amount today. That's not too shabby. Not too shabby. Rory says, hurry up, clock. Want to update portfolio? The bell. The weekend has begun. Yeah, we have now passed through the archway, and we are into the weekend. Tim Smith. Tim is back. Haven't seen you probably, gosh, Tim, I think it's been a couple of weeks. My friend just started investing this week. She bought the Starbucks CDR on the TDX, on the TSX, and Harvest's Enhanced Covered Call Coinbase, CNYE. Nice. Well, it's always nice to get your first. I always think I think I'll never forget the first stock I bought. Like for me, it was Fortis. That was the very first stock I ever bought. Hey guys, what was your first stock? I mean, I'm sure you guys remember. Drop it in below. I'm kind of curious. All right, we're going to jump over the Nightbot, who's not supposed to be there, but I've turned Nightbot off. Well, at least that part of Nightbot. Obviously, if you do some kind of weird spamming thing, Nightbot will probably still come in and inappropriately tell you, hey. John says you missed the bell. Yes, I know. Jim is in the house with a hey. And Dorpat, giving me hack for the bell. Paul says, was battling the X999 and the next 1,000 in the last minutes, finished in the next 1,000. Nice. Of course, when you first said that was battling the X999, I'm like, oh, are you in the new Terminator movie? I don't know. It's yeah, but I understand. I understand. Scratch says Candace is more the aftermarket bell. That's right. The market closes when I say it closes. It's like, no, no, you guys can't close till I ring that bell. Doorpat, I think you should set an alarm for the bell. Yeah, I need a bell to remind me to do the bell. That's kind of funny. Let's see, CIBC for me, a nice CIBC. Now, Jim, let me ask you this question. Why was CIBC your first pick? And I'll tell you why. Fortis for me, I think a long time ago I actually saw a very old Brandon Peavis video, and he was talking about some of the really good stocks, and he mentioned Fortis, I think, in that video, and I was looking at that and I'm like, you know what, Fortis actually, they're a very reputable company, and that got me to thinking I'm going to look into Fortis a little deeper because it really caught my attention, and I already at that point love oil. So Fortis, yeah, it kind of stuck out, and that was kind of my reasoning behind it. Larry's in the house. My first stock was Apple at $23 in 2007. Nice. I'm a huge Apple fan. But I also know that I'm biased too when it comes to Apple, for the simple reason that my entire ecosystem is all Apple. So, you know, when you have a system that works so well for you and you love your system, and you know, I'll probably never switch from Apple, to be honest. That does create a certain level of biasy because I love it so much. So everybody should love it so much, but it's obviously not. There's some people out there that would rather go back to a dial-up, plug-in flip phone instead of an iPhone. There are people that would be that way for sure. Paul says, I got told about LEU, Centrus Energy Corp, at 282, but it had already popped up from 262, then it was 293, and said no. Okay. LEU, okay. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Centrus Energy Corp, but I think I've heard of them. I just haven't really touched them. Scratch. First stock is ORA. A year and a half ago. Yeah. Actually, I think they were in a list video, one of my list videos not that long ago, but actually I kind of want to see how they're doing. I want to see how they're doing right now. All right, where is there it is. All right, here we go. ORA, Aura, here we go. Aura Minerals. Perfect. And being minerals, I'm expecting to see some good movement here. If my mouse would only work. All right, let's pull this up. Let's take a look. And yeah, look at this. You know, for your first buy, Scratch, this is not bad. Not bad. In a year, that's fantastic. But keep in mind, that's the thing. A lot of minerals right now are doing absolutely well. Very, very, very well. And I don't think this is going to change any. I think we're heading into, even if the economy, let's say the economy goes into a recession, I think we could potentially have a bull market, at least for that one sector, for mining. So that could be very interesting. So I am very, very, very bullish on mining. All right, let's see here. Rory, Superior Propane was my first one. SPB is wrecked just like AQN. I don't think I've ever looked at Superior Propane. Let's pull them up. SPB. Superior Plus Corp. Oh man, the 773. I'm gonna come out. If you said that they sort of did a yeah. This looks very familiar to Algonquin for sure. Look at this. A big drop. Now, I don't know the circumstances behind Superior Propane's drop, but interesting, yeah. Now, hopefully they can survive. It's interesting. I don't hear as much about propane anymore. Like, I don't know what the actual demand on propane is compared to regular natural gas. Yeah, that's interesting. Something I probably should look into now. Larry was in high school at the time. Nice. It might explain why you are who you are at this moment. That's for sure. Brian says, "Good afternoon, everyone." We got Bill. Let's see. Bill says, I bought my first stock in 1987. Don't remember the name, but it was a micro cap gold prospecting company on the Vancouver Exchange. My broker picked it out. 16 years old. Okay, interesting. I hope you made money on it. I'll say that. Because that's interesting. I would love to see statistics, and I don't have statistics or even know where I would get them, but I'd love to see statistics on how many people, because their first stock turns up to be well, what's the best word for it? A stinker. How many people who invest in stinkers initially, how many of those people get turned off on investing? That's one of those things I always kind of worry, because sometimes, and this is one of the things I was worried about in the pandemic, is a lot of people, when we had so much extra money in the market thanks to all of the government supports, a lot of those people were coming in at like all-time highs just before a bear market crash, and these are people who had no idea what a bear market, most of them didn't know what the bear market was. And a lot of them lost money and panicked because they weren't ready for that bear market. And I imagine that we had a lot of people who got introduced to investing during that brief good period before the bear market. And I imagine some of them are just, have probably took their losses and said, "Yep, not for me, not for me." It's sad that that's happened, but I'm sure that there's been a good number. All right. Joe says, Enbridge, my first. Enbridge is a good company. Yeah, I mean, that's a good solid buy. And when you're going with a blue chip company as your first, it's hard to go wrong. Let's see. Jim says, my dad is a bank guy. I hadn't done any research at all, so I got the big 6-1 each paycheck. Okay. That makes sense, though. That makes sense. I'm almost surprised that my first stock wasn't CNR because, my family was definitely big into the railroads. Zyborg. Let's see. First stock was a tiny mining stock around 2001 that was rumored to be looking around my parents' hometown. Lost everything when it turned to dust, a couple grand. And that's a danger, right? Sometimes that does happen. But Zyborg, you picked yourself up, so that's good. That's good because some people, like I said, some people could have been turned off from investing, but you picked yourself up and you're doing much better today for sure. Larry, let's see, bought a lot more of Bayer today. Very undervalued, worth about 1/3 of what they make per year, plus lots of debts and lawsuits, which is why it's down from 20 to 8. Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at that whole sector in the United States, I think there's got a lot of opportunity to be getting in low on a lot of these companies right now. And I think that volatility within the health sector, so everything from United Health to Bayer to Pfizer, Moderna, all of them, I think that they're going to be doing a lot better once we get on the other side of the current administration. Mary is in the house with a hello, and of course Mary is the official captain of our like button. So guys, if you've not hit like yet, hit that button right now. It'll make Mary happy, it'll make me happy, but more importantly, it'll make the algorithm happy. I'm gonna have some coffee while you guys are just turning that thumb into a bluish color. Oh, so good. Scratch says, I think we are entering a big commodity bull market. I hope so because I put my money where my mouth is. Yeah, I think commodities are going to be huge. I think the mining sector, there are things. Like I do have a story on Ivanhoe that's coming up on this week. I will just say that they have received a pretty sizable investment from investors in the Middle East. The Middle East is starting to look at the Canadian mining sector as a great place to start putting their money because they're very, very bullish on it. So that's interesting, and I'll talk more about that on the weekend for sure. Jim is letting Mary know that he hit like. Larry says China buys most of the propane from the USA. Okay, fair enough. Rory, I have a buy order to get bank with the new proceeds. Nice. Bill says it was a stinker. I did get turned off. Market dropped on Thursday, and on Friday when I sold, following Monday was black. Oh boy, that's quite the time to start investing. Smart move would have been to buy back into the market. Yeah, but you know what? If you don't have a lot of exposure to the market, you don't really kind of get the market yet. And most people, when they buy that first stock, they don't get the market. They don't fully understand it. I could see that being the type of thing to definitely turn somebody off. But I'm glad that you overcame it. And now you're a very smart guy. You're a very smart guy. Northern Gal says started in stock when Clerica demutualized. There we go. Then became Sun Life. That got me into trading way back. Much easier to trade now than it was then. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Heck, you go far enough back in time, and before you could trade on the internet, you'd have a broker, and they would have to actually deliver stuff. That's like a lot of when you look at the time that it takes to settle. So right now, we've reduced the time recently, but it used to be about 3-4 days, and that was just because the actual stock certificates had to change hands. So there was actually physical movement of stuff. So I imagine, and I don't know this, I do not know the answer to this, but I imagine that if we went all the way back, went back to the 40s and 50s, I imagine any kind of stocks that were traded back then probably took a lot longer to settle. But now we're at a point where, what is it, +2 right now? I imagine we'll see it go down to +1 pretty darn soon. And I wouldn't even be surprised. I think it's India. I think India has been pushing for let's just settle same day. There's no reason why we can't. I would love to see that. Bill says I didn't touch the market again until 2023. Brex. I hear Brexit and I think Brexit. And I know it's not, but all right, I have no clue what Brex is. I got no clue, Barry, none, but that's fine. John says NVEI, my first, but sold it before it went public. Okay, interesting. You got in on it before it went public. That's kind of cool. Rory says Royal Bank was a landing pad on the moon. Yeah, absolutely. We got Scratch saying hello to Mary. Merle says, hello, have a great weekend. You too. Always good to see you. And Reverend Ramirez is in here. I can't find a mining ETF, but I do see some global metals. ETF, are there any Canadian mining ETFs out there? Sure there are. Just trying to remember. I'm pretty sure that, oh my gosh. Let me see here. I'm going to type in mining ETF just because. All right, so let's take a look here. Yeah, for example, here we got base. So this is with Evolve. So this here is the Evolve Global Materials and Mining Enhanced Yield. There's DXMO, which is a dynamic active mining opportunities ETF. I'm not familiar with that one, so I would be a little bit more hesitant on that. Of course, ZGD, but that's just gold. We've also got the Sprott one there that's a US one, but for uranium, there's also some lithium ones. So yeah, it seems to me right now that your best bet, and you are looking at covered calls with this one, I think base is probably your best bet. And let's pull up base here. So this is the Evolve Global Materials and Mining Enhanced Yield Index. And let's take a look. All right, so yeah, they have a bit of a movement up, at least in the last year, at least the second half of the last year. But this is also going to be mostly income in here. So let's take a look here. Yes, here's your distribution yield, 426. But mind you, if mining explodes as much as I think, you're going to see this when we look at a year on this one a year from now, it's going to be a lot more sloped, But one of the things I'm really surprised, I'm surprised I don't have like one of the iShare capped ones, because we've got one for almost everything else. You got one for utilities, you got one for energy, consumer staples. So yeah, one of those X ones. So what would it be? XMT? I wonder. I've never heard of it, but I'm just going to do it. No, it's not there. So there they go. iShares, XMT. Get that ticker, make a mining ETF, because I would be in on it. I would be in on it. But now that you mention it, Reverend, I'm going to do some more research. There's got to be something out there. There's got to be something. Any of you guys know of any? Drop it in the comments, because now I really would like to have a mining ETF in the challenge. There is base, but that is income. I'm thinking that it might be part of the it might be part of my non-covered call side of the challenge, but we'll see. We'll see. Scratch says, let's see, I wanted to increase my position in IVN, but the price moved 30% from my first entry point. I know I should buy more, but the money is not there yet. Yeah, and it's funny. I know when I was looking at IVN this morning, I was just doing my charting, and I was watching. In the time I did my charting, it went up about 10 cents just in that amount of time. And I was like, dear gosh, I got to get in now, because it's on the move. It's already on the move. So, but I still got in. I could have got in 10 cents earlier if I didn't chart it, but I wanted to chart it. I like to be a little bit safer. Larry says, let's see. I bought January 16th, puts on Tesla via TSL, L2X bull. Tesla just has to drop to 395, but I think a drop to 350 is reasonable. Okay, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. There's also some other interesting news coming up on this weekend as well. If you're into robots, guys, I have a robot story that involves Brookfield. It involves Brookfield. So that's coming up as well. Paul says, let's see, first stock was BC Tel through employee share purchase plan. Okay, well, that's always smart. That's a smart thing. A lot of times, guys, if you work for a company that has an employee purchase share plan, you're normally getting them at a discount. It's not a bad thing to do at all, unless you're working for a company that has really bad fundamentals. But if you're working for most companies, it's not a bad plan. Let's see, Alberta, I think it was called AGT. Okay. Mark is in the house. So let's see here. Hi, Candace. Happy Friday. My MSTE is way down. Sad face. Yes, absolutely. Still holding all 1581 shares, bought at 1634. Double sad face. Oh, boy. Yeah. I mean, it will come back up. But, you got to kind of be a little bit patient, I guess, with that one. Yeah, it's one of those ones that, like, I like all of these harvest single share ones. I do, but it's one of the reasons that I really kind of gravitate towards that HHIS, because I love that diversification. So I'm not being pulled down by any one company, in this case, Strategy. All right, let's see here. And especially today with Bitcoin being down, that's going to impact Strategy big time on the day anyway. Paul says, let's see, next for RRSP was Altamira Mutual Funds in the early 1990s. Oh, mutual funds. Oh, boy. Ow. Let's see here. And, all right, Capital Power roared all the way up to 65 on news. Interesting. So let's see, the Michigan Power deal was signed, so CPX is benefiting. Yeah, and I do like, well, actually, let's head over to CPX. Capital Power, come on, let's bring you up here. All right, so here's Capital Power. I am a fan of Capital Power, and you can see here some of that, some of that movement here. Like, look at this, jump from 61 to 64. Not too shabby. Now, when you look at the 1 year, you're like, yeah, they've had a bit of a down, but you know what? Things are looking up, I think, for utilities for the second half. now that we've got a rate cut, another rate cut under the table, and it takes time for that to filter into the economy, but I think that's going to be good. Like, I'll be watching one of my favorites as well. Now, this is not utilities. This here is the other group that is going to do, I think, well with rate cuts, further rate cuts. So, REITs. And here's the beautiful thing with REITs. And this is what I'm loving with this right now. I'm going to pull up the 1 year. So you can see a little bit of a movement here up. When this starts to filter in, this is going to get benefits on both sides of the border, because this RMAX has 50% US REITs, 50% Canadian REITs. So both rate cuts that we saw this week on Wednesday, they are going to impact this from both sides. So they're getting it from both ends. I love it. That sounded dirtier than I meant it to, but that's fine. It's a Friday. Scratch says every bank has their mining ETF. Okay, there we go. So let's see here. So NBC 757. Okay, that's a national bank one. So yeah, all the big banks definitely will probably have it. There's going to be, let me just take a look here. Let's find out here, because I really, really, really think. Oh, sorry, JJ. Did anybody else join up? Well, I'm just curious while we were here. No, we're still at 16. All right, let's go into Google here. Mining ETFs Canada. There's got to be more. Ooh. Here's what I'm thinking. Look at this right away. Base metals index, iShares. This is going to be what I'm thinking of. So let me pull this one up here. So this is one of the iShares ones. XBM. So, okay, base metals. They went with the B. So let's just take a look here. So yeah, the performance, normal market conditions. So base metals. So yeah, they're investing in in mining metals per se. So yeah, so let's see. The index is comprised of constituents of the S&P TSX Global Mining Index. All right, so that's what they're loading up with. And yeah, and you can see some of their top investments here. I know this is not easy to see. I can barely see it here on the screen, but BHP Group, Rio Tinto, Freeport McMoran, First Quantum Minerals, Teck Resources, Southern Copper Corporation, Ivanhoe, there we go. Alcoa, London is in there. MP. So yeah, this looks like a good one here. MP. What was it once again here? XMP. All right, let's actually come back over here and put it in. XMB. Sorry. XBM. There we go. Yeah, so here we are. So there's going to be no covered calls on this. It's just going to be your base metals mining. And here we go. Look at this. There's a nice slope coming up. But you will notice, too, that when we were looking at the Evolve one, this is the same shape, but it's just more pronounced. And that's because you're not getting that loss of upside potential. So this here is another one. Now, it's probably going to have a quarterly dividend, I think. No, semi-annual, even worse. So not a big dividend, but it's going to be a strong growth contender for sure. XBM. I may have to add that to the challenge. I do like that one. Well, I like the company. We'll go with that. Bill says a good way to get diverse mining exposure would be from Royalty Corps, if no ETF available. Yeah, Royalty Corps. I love Royalty Corps. So obviously, you guys all know about DIV, so diversified royalty. Now, that's not mining, but if you went to Life, for example, LIF, they are a iron ore royalty. So with them, it's just iron ore. But there are a lot of royalty companies out there. You know what? I need to do another royalty video. I haven't done one in a while. Oh, and look at this. Just after we find it, I could have just scrolled ahead a little bit and we would have had it. Thank you, Georges. So iShare, yeah, S&P Global Base Metals Index ETF. That's the one. Did you see that Hut 8 hit $40? I did not. Holy banana bread. And Rory's excited too. I FOMO'd Hut. Could never get in. All right. Hello. Did anyone pick up some Canny? That's a good question. So Canny, of course, that is the new Evolve one, which was going to be called Maple, M-A-P-L. I wonder. Let's just take a look and see how's Canny done today. Here we go. So this is your ultra yield, and it looks like they're up 1.31%. Well, actually 1.32 because the rounding rules. So yeah, look, they're doing good. They're definitely on their way up a little bit. I did not pick up any Canny personally, but maybe some of you guys did. Now, let's see. TradingView has every ETF list on the planet in one spot. Actually, here, let me show you. I just need to duplicate this tab. And we're going to come in here to products, screeners, heat maps, ETFs. And let's go to Canada. Here we go. Here's our heat map. This is our ETF heat map here, right here. So you can sort of see. Would you look at this? Those of you who watched today's video will be like, XGD? Because we did feature XGD as our benchmark. And look at this. That's a nice 5.08%. We're talking about Barrick Gold going up. Yeah, and here it is. Here's the global gold index. So this is one of those iShares one. Look at that. So XGD, that's another great one right there. So yeah, absolutely. They just stood right out when we came over here. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Now those are your equity, and you've also got your fixed income here, assets, currency, commodities. Let's actually pull up the commodities one. So in our commodities as well, you can sort of see Rory. HOD is up 3.13%. So HOD, that is the inverse oil with leverage. And here's the interesting thing. HOU down 3.13. HOU, that there is, you look, crude oil leveraged bull. So this one is basically they're the opposite. It's like matter and antimatter. But, what happened? Oh, did I closed the window. Anyway, that's one place you can see them all together. Let's see. I did yesterday and today. Gursky. Jim says Q-Day had a good day again, but X-Day tomorrow probably had something to do with that. So yeah, obviously people getting in before the ex-dividend day. So Monday morning, you'll see them drop a little bit, because, the amount that they're paying out, that's going to get subtracted from their net asset value. Larry says trying the Anno Rome demo will still be listening. Okay, fair enough. Scratch Kalar just made its way on my NYSE. A new investor like me told me that it has just made its way in the market. It's like a PayPal in Europe and looks like a long time buy. Anyone heard of it? I heard of it. I think we brought it up on one of the streams earlier. Yeah, it sounds interesting. I'm not sold on it, but it does sound interesting. It's one of those ones, like there's a lot that will come out. And guys, this is kind of the way, like if you're a conservative investor, a lot of times I sit back and I let something run before I really jump in, because I want to get a good feel for what it's doing. As a result, sometimes I will miss some of these early rocket ships, and I'm okay with that. Because at the same time, if I just jump in on everything as it pops up, I'm gonna hit some mole machines as well, and we're gonna tunnel my finances pretty deep down. So I'm okay with waiting and being a little more cautious on the things that I do jump on. Jim says last Q-Day distribution day was a dumpster fire. Oh boy, yeah. You know what? It's a big dividend. So, you are going to see drops. You will absolutely see drops. All right. Kelly. I was loving Wealthsimple and got my mom to open an account into August. She got some HHIS, HHIC, and a couple of others. She isn't getting dividend payments, though. I hate calling customer service. That's interesting. When did she sign up, though? And and here's why I'm going to bring this up, first of all, because, maybe this will save you. Let's go to HHIS. So I know HHIC, I don't think their first dividend comes out until October. So that might be why she hasn't received anything with HHIC. So that I think it's too early for HHIC, but HHIS, if we look, let's come down here. Actually, let's come down here. I'll go to both of them for you. Let's go to the key data. All right, so let's see here. So for her to have gotten the September 9th dividend, she would have, and here's the date of record, August 29th. So yeah, her ex-dividend date, if she got it in August, she should be good. She should have been good for September 9th. But if she didn't, if it was after the end of August, then definitely she would have missed out on it until the next one. And we don't have the next date, but it'll be around the 8th or 9th of October. Now, and let's just go here to, whoops, I went to options. I don't want to go to options. Let's go to HHIC. So with HHIC, and I can actually do it right here. Their ex-dividend date is the 29th of September. So she's good for that one. She's good for that one. And I'll show you here with this one here as well. Let's just go into the key data. And what you'll see here is that first dividend that they're dropping. It's going to be paid out on the 9th of October. Now, when it says the 9th, if she's on Wealthsimple, it means that Wealthsimple receives it on the 9th. She'll receive it on the 10th of October. So it's a one-day delay. So on the 10th of October, she will be getting 16 cents for every share of HHIC she has. But that might be why she missed. If she missed the HHIS in September, she might have just missed the ex-dividend day. She might have just missed it. That might be why. I think she'll be fine though going forward. So just double check the date of when she bought it. And that might save you from having to call customer service. Because the last thing I want is for, if you don't like calling customer service, I'd love to prevent you from calling customer service if it's not necessary. Because I'd hate to have you call them and then them say, yeah, she just missed the ex-dividend date. Next month. You know, that's probably what happened. But I don't know the date, so you'd have to check, you know, and you can go into, if you go into Wealthsimple, you can look at the date that it was bought there. And yeah, Brian is saying exactly the same thing. Defense says, what do you think about XPay from Roundhill? Pay style is special. They did a trade day 1st January, and that determined that they will send all year in each month plan, no matter the NAV. XPay, Defense, I will tell you right now, this is the first time I've ever heard of XPay. I'm going to put this in. Do we have it here? So yeah, Roundhill right here. Let's see. Roundhill S&P 500 Target 20 Managed Distribution ETF. That's interesting. I want to see here. Okay. Interesting movement. All right. Let's see what they're paying, first of all. Oh, that's got to be a pretty big yield. 95.3 USD a month. So yeah, 20% here. Well, that does explain this movement. So I can tell you right now, you're not going to be getting any kind of, you're not going to get a lot of big movement on this because that's a huge yield. And that yield has a trade-off. And that is that this is going to be mostly a sideways or even slightly down ETF. And once you have a little bit of history, like, you know, look at this. They did struggle, at least initially. They've made a little bit of movement up here, but, you know, not really that much. So it would be interesting with a bit more history to compare this to, even to compare it to VOO, because, you know, you want to use the American version and, you know, see if that 20%. Now, if you're using it straight up for income, that's a different story. Because, you know, a lot of times a lot of income investors, you know, I can tell them, oh, you're losing upside potential. And they'll be like, I don't care. I need the income. And it's like, all right, great, fantastic. So that might be the situation. But it is interesting. Now, the fact that they're guaranteeing it for a year, wonderful. But, you know, I think, yeah. I get a little bit leery until I have a chance to actually pull data and compare it to a benchmark and see, because it's easy to look at 20%. It's easy to look at 20% and say, okay, that's pretty darn good. But if you're really not making any movement and the underlying asset, something like a VOO, is, if it's pulling in more than 20%, or if, this one is actually losing a little ground, then, it may not be a full 20%, but it kind of looks, looking at this, like if you got into at the beginning, yeah, you're probably not getting 20% because, you've lost about $3 in value. But if you got in anywhere after Liberation Day, I think it probably is looking pretty good. It's probably looking pretty good for you. Just if you got in up here, you have taken a little bit of loss in value, but at the same time, you have received all those dividends. So you're probably still in the green. I think you would be in the green still, but, nonetheless, I'm a little bit concerned with this one. A little bit. Just a little. Rory says, I'm in the habit of buying after the ex-dividend day is posted. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. I look at it this way. You can argue. Like, you can say, okay, I'm going to wait one day to buy. I'll buy on the ex-dividend day. Okay, cool. Great. You got it at a lower price. It's going to build itself back up before you get your dividend. Now, if you bought the day before, you're paying much more, but you are getting that dividend. So if it's perfect, if the math is perfect, then you should both have the same amount of money at the end. Except here's the one caveat. If you were the person who bought it the day before the ex-dividend day and you reinvested it, then if the math is perfect, you should have a tiny bit more money a month down the road compared to the person who waited for the ex-dividend day. But honestly, for most people, it's pretty much splitting hairs. But yeah. Now, if you're doing something like, there is a thing called dividend capture strategy. If you're doing that, then waiting for the ex-dividend day, that's kind of, that's a good thing, because they, with a dividend capture strategy, what you'll do, actually, you won't, no, sorry. Let me back up here. Whoa, my mind was not in the right place. So with a dividend capture strategy, you're actually buying it before the ex-dividend day. And you're collecting that dividend, riding it back up a little bit, then selling it, moving to your next dividend target. All right, anyway, that's dividend capture strategy. Anyway, where the heck are we going with this? I think both ways work. I know, depending on what it is, I will sometimes wait, because I'm like, if you get really lucky and you got the ex-dividend and the day is down, plus if the market's down at the same time, oh boy, then that becomes hugely profitable to do it that way. All right, I'm moving on to Scratch. Let's see. The individual who talked about Clar told me that he saw from his own eyes that the girls in a beauty product event from Europe were all on Clar, FYI. I don't know anymore, but I'll dig into it. Okay, all right. Interesting. I mean, Clar could be very interesting. Hands down. I don't even know. I don't know if I've got, if it's showing up here or not. CLAR. Here it is. Yeah. Klarna Group. So let's just pull it up and we'll see what it's done so far. So, all right. I guess I went to, let's go to 1 month. Yeah, I mean, here it is. I know, so far it hasn't done anything impressive out of the gate, but like I said, it's only out of the gate. This is the type of thing that if I was interested in it, I would probably watch it a little bit, see what it's going to do, but it may be a next big thing. And maybe if you get in now at $43, maybe that'll be huge down the road. But right now, I just don't see anything yet. And I haven't done any of the research. So we're going to have to see. Scratch says, it's like the new thing for payments in Europe. Yeah, and it may be very big. It may be huge. It may be huge. I just don't I haven't done the research. So I don't feel comfortable saying yes, it's going to explode. Bismarcky says, let's see, thoughts on HPYT with interest rates going down. This should go up, I think. Right. So that's the Treasury one. You would think so. But it's kind of an interesting thing too. I think there's so many other options outside of bonds nowadays that I think the popularity has been waning quite a bit. But you are right that it should go up. But we'll have to see. I'm kind of cautious. I'm kind of cautiously optimistic on some of these Treasury ones. Now, I know 9, and I haven't seen 9 in a while, occasionally in the comments, but 9 was very much into a lot of these Treasury ones. I'm a little, I don't want to say cautious. I just think that there's other options that I think are doing better. So I've been sort of not really hedging so much with ones like HPYT, for example. What did you do with Air Canada so far? So I have two positions. I have my swing trade in my swing trade account, and that one the channel members are all aware of. So, and I told you guys that one. I got in at $19 on that one because I had a order. Now it's gone below that, but that's fine. I'm happy with 19. It's going to sit at 19. I have my exit strategy. Whether it's going to be 21, 22, something like that. Well, it's probably going to be, if it goes up to 22, I'll definitely drop in a stop loss at that point. I also have it in the challenge, and I don't know what my adjusted cost base is right now because I know I bought at 19 and I also added a bit more as it went down, so it's averaged down a little bit. I think it's like around 1880 or something in that area, but yeah, so I will run that as well through the challenge, and I'm all in. I'm all in on that. I love my Air Canada swings. They have been one of the most reliable swings that I've done since the pandemic. I'd say they've been the most reliable when it comes to swing trading. Zyborg says, I'm seeing a lot of my personal credit cards nowadays offering to convert purchases to 6 easy payments. Maybe trying to get in on the same trend as Klarna. Yeah. And I'm going to say this. If you're breaking a sub, if you want to go to Subway and buy a sub and you're breaking it into 6 easy payments, you can't afford the sub. It's kind of that thing. And by making credit easy, all they're doing is they're taking, and it feels like they're taking advantage of people who, are probably not in a position to be buying a lot of these things. And I'm concerned down the road that a lot of people are going to get themselves very deep in debt because they're just making it easier and easier to get in debt. So that's kind of where I stand on those. But if you're looking at a company that sells that type of thing, you probably will make money from it big time. Let's see, Scratch. Don't get me wrong, Candace. I am just sharing ideas. I'm not looking to get in, but I might. Yeah, and that's the whole idea, right? Share some ideas, maybe get in, maybe not get in. Do your due diligence and let that be your guiding principle, right? Kelly. I saw a Dave Ramsey piece where the debtor had themselves in deep consumer debt, making monthly payments on tiny purchases. As an investment stock, maybe I'll make money, but seems very predatory. That's exactly what I was saying, Kelly. It just seems to me that if you make it easier for people who are desperate to pull in a bunch more debt, you're not helping them. You're not helping those folks at all. You're especially if it's over things like, like a sub at Subway or or just something silly. I hate to see that. Jack says my credit score dropped for the first time ever by around 50 points because my cash advance on crypto I took last month. Oh wow. That's interesting. That is interesting. The good old algorithm. I mean, there's a lot of different things that go into it for sure, and sometimes you can do something very innocent that really doesn't impact your credit, but as far as they're concerned, it does. One of the areas that I think a lot of people get hit hard on their credit is utility. So the way utility works is if you have a credit limit, let's say your credit limit is 1,000. We're just going to pick a low number. If you keep using all of your limit and you keep your balance up 800-900 all the time, well, that actually lowers your credit rating because of something called utility. So utility is how much you're using of it. If you need to use almost all of it, I guess the credit companies look at it like, you're not really handling your debt very well, and that you're getting by the skin of your teeth per se, and they will rank that against you. Whereas if you have a lower utility, so if you're only using about 25 to 35%, that will actually help improve your credit rating. So in some cases, if they offer to increase your limit, provided you have discipline, it's never a bad thing. You can increase it if you have discipline. Just don't use any of that extra limit, because that's going to help improve your rating if you're trying to improve your rating. It's credit can be a mess sometimes. Bill says, rich people ask how much something costs. Poor people ask how much the payments are. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, I mean, Dave Ramsey does have some pretty good advice. Absolutely. A Northern gal worked in an accounting office, was amazed to see how much credit people were in for, not thinking that's a good strategy for people in general. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's, I think it's Minority. What's his name? Minority something. The Minority guy, the guy from the U.S. Finance guy. He always says, if you can't afford two of them, or is it 5 of them? I think it's 2 of them. If you can't afford 2 of them, you can't afford 1 of them. So, and I always thought, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad saying at all. It's a good way to sort of keep you from getting into. And also another Minority Report. No, not Minority Report. The Minority Mindset, something like that. Anyway, he also says, and this is also a very good thing, if you find something on Amazon and you're like, oh, I should get that, wait 24 hours before you buy it and see if you still want it after that 24 hours, because that will help you. It'll help you beat those impulse buys. So, just a thought. Bismarcky, let's see. I bought a Samsung watch in 24 payments, interest free. It's the only debt I have. $15 a month for watch is okay. $300 all at once, not so much. If you can get it interest free, that's not too shabby. Just a lot of them though aren't interest free. A lot of them are like, maybe that might be, they might say, oh, we're interest free for the first year. Well, yeah, okay, 24 payments is more than a year. That's when the interest will kick in. So some of them are like, and I understand it. They need to make some amount of money, but sometimes the interest rates towards the people who can't afford them is usually a lot higher than the interest rates against the people who can afford them. So it's kind of a crazy system. All right. Jack says, I won't be able to buy a home in Canada for at least 15 to 20 years. Anyway, so might as well use my credit for investing right now. Score can be improved once I have real wealth saved. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, you gotta chart your path. There are some people out there that will take loans out just for investing. I always say be careful with that, but if it works. I mean, keep in mind, in a case like this, you want to make sure you've got a really low interest rate, because it's it can get dicey out there. Larry says, remember, you don't have to make money off of every opportunity you see. That's true. You don't. You just want to make sure that the opportunities you do make money off of are good ones. That's what I say. There's always going to be good opportunities. You don't have to take them all. There's more than one trip to the moon. Scratch says, I didn't know that they were involved in getting more debt over people. I will never put a penny in that company if that's their way. Now keep in mind, I'm kind of generalizing, Scratch. So I don't know how that particular company works. I'd have to do more digging, but that's how a lot of similar companies work. Zyborg, I used to see $5,000 and say, what can I buy with that? Like a consumer purchase. Now I see 5K and I think that's $50 a month income stream. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I would love. I mean, heck, all of the money I had as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, I'd love to have all that back and and have it making money for me for sure. Jay says I use Roger's credit card to pay my car insurance for the whole year, and I get a cash back of $51, and I pay my credit in full. There we go. Yeah, that's the best way to use a credit card. If you've got a cash back on it, oh boy, that's not too shabby. Just make sure you're paying off each month so you don't incur the interest. So that way, there you're kind of gaming the system. I mean, if you don't want a credit card, you can get like even my EQ card, my EQ cash card. I get credit. I get not credit, but I get cash back on that, and it seems to be pretty good. I don't know what the rate is, but they're always dropping little bits of money in my account from that. Rory says someone with $500 will look at risk in the market quite different from one with 50,000. That is true. That is true. And here's the thing. I mean, once, one of the big things is, and I think they used to say this at Berkshire. The first 100,000, I think Charlie Munger used to say this, is your hardest to get. Once you get 100,000, it gets easier to get your second 100,000, and that's just because when you have more money, you can actually make better moves. You can really, and you can hedge your moves. If you got $500, what are you going to do if you're investing? You're kind of all in on something. Whereas with 50,000, you have much better diversification. You can really protect your money a lot better. Northern Gal says, I taught my kids that a credit card is for convenience. If you don't have the money in the bank to pay it off, credit cards can get you very, very deep in debt. Yeah. And they can evaporate your wallet. Defense says, what would you do with $2,000 to invest? Income growth ETF. 2,000? Oh, that's not a lot. But if I only had 2,000, I was just, I guess, starting out of the gate. Now, with me, I would probably swing trade it to get it up a little higher. But take that aside. If I was looking, it depends on the market, right? If I only have the $2,000, I do want to grow it faster. So in a strong bull market, kind of like we're in right now, I probably would go with an income growth ETF just because I'm going to get more money overall opposed to an income ETF at this point, or a covered call ETF. That's what I would do, because with 2,000, if I put it into income, we're not talking like maybe I'm getting $20 a month or something. Who knows? But I would much rather grow it to the maximum. Try to get it as big as possible, as fast as possible. So that's how I would do it. If I only had 2,000, I would do it that way. Kelly. Let's see here. I am a terrible impulse shopper. So I've been successful talking myself out of a $2,000 Thermomix cooker, but it is shiny and new. Caw. Yeah, or caw. There we go. That's probably more accurate. Yeah, there is. I mean, I'll give you an example right now. My iPhone, it's an iPhone 11, but it still works. It still is meeting my needs. As much as, and I really, really like that orange color on the new iPhone. I can't justify it. I can't justify this. My current iPhone needs to break and I'm not saying I want it to break. I don't want it to break. If I could milk another 2 years out of this phone, holy banana bread, that would be awesome. I'm not that optimistic. I'm figuring a year, but still, nonetheless, that's a good way. One of the good ways to get poor is, and this is kind of the thing, a lot of the big companies, especially tech companies, they make things with the goal that you're going to have it for a year and then you're going to upgrade. It's all about upgrading. That's how they're making their money. Although there's been movement towards subscription, and that I don't know if I like that so much. Well, I mean, Office did that. So, I mean, Microsoft Office. Before, you used to buy the software and you'd run it for however long, and then maybe 5 years later or a couple of years later, you buy the new version. Well, you can't even buy a version per se anymore. Now you basically subscribe to it, and you always have the newest version. But once a year, they're collecting, if you're paying on a yearly, which is probably the best way to go because you'll get a cheaper disc rate. But yeah, you're paying. And that's that subscription model in there. And you're going to probably see that with a lot of things. I don't know if we'll ever get to a point where your phone, it'll be a subscription where they, just once a year, you'll get a new one in the mail or something. Or delivered to you, and then you just give them your old one, and then and maybe you do that for a yearly subscription price. Who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if it moved in that direction. Luckily, not yet. Jim says, when I started investing, put in $200 a paycheck and was something else. Now I'm mad at myself if I don't add $400. Yeah, absolutely. Kelly says, I will be investing that $2,000 instead. Thanks, YouTube. Yes, no mixer. I'm sure you've got other mixers and other cooking utensils and other fancy machines that were the impulse buy of the past. Yeah, definitely. Or, what you could do is if you absolutely have to have a mixer, look at some of your old stuff before, like some of your old kitchen appliances, and you could always sell some of it and say, okay, I guess out of the playbook of Pierre Polyev, it's like you want to spend $2,000, find a way to save $2,000, so to balance it out. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know. I don't know how many old appliances you have that you could perhaps sell on Marketplace or something. Though I will say, if you are selling something on Marketplace, I'm going to put this out there for folks. Make sure your email address has auto deposit on it. Because one of the scams that goes around nowadays is somebody will see your ad on Marketplace and say, yeah, I want it. I'll send you the money by, I'll do an e-transfer. And they send you a fake e-transfer. And, you go through it and you log into your bank, you're logging into their site, and then they're stealing the money out of your bank. Now, if you have auto deposit on, that doesn't work. Because when you receive the thing asking you to log into the bank, it's like, yeah, no, I have auto deposit. I know this is a scam, and then, you don't get scammed. So that's one way to avoid some of those Marketplace scams. So if you are a Marketplace user, please turn on your auto deposit. Larry says, I am a cheapo. All my exes hate that. I was always investing everything and still am now. Well, you know who's going to love you, though, Larry? I don't know if you have kids, but if you do, they're going to love you for that, for sure. Rory, 2,000 into Air Canada. Nice. Scratch. Yeah. Oh, you mean the $2,000? Yeah, why not? Other than the fact that I don't know, I don't know if I'd put the 2,000 into Air Canada, Rory. Sir, I'll get to you here. Oh, Scratch is talking to Jack. I don't know if I would spend the 2,000 on Air Canada, only because I would think I would want to flip it faster. I would want to grow it a bit faster. Air Canada to me is a bit of a slower play. So for that reason, I might look for another target. All right. Larry says, been investing 60 to 80% of my income for the past 6 years. Fantastic. Jack says, I haven't touched my FHSA yet, but will once I max my TFSA. Okay, fair enough. Brian says, I looked at my Wealth Simple today, not too shabby, 7.18% over the last 30. I guess my massive diversification is not killing me. Okay, nice. 7.18, that's not bad. Northern Gal, speaking of office, can anyone tell me how to link Excel Neo stocks, example C-Day and S-Day for the current price? Yeah, it's a Neo, right? It's a Neo, so it's not an XTSE. Trying to think if I have one of those. Let me check. I'm going into the challenge here. Just give me a second here, guys. I'm going to see if if I have any of those. Let's see here. Oh, there's my Q Day. I don't think I have Q Day coming up yet. Let's just try something here. Let's see. All right. Yeah, it's still like right now it's not showing me anything yet. But yeah, for actually just give me 1 second here. Let's try it. Actually, XTSE is not going to work. I think I remember. I think it is, and let me just check this out here. NEOQ. Let's try that. Oh, sorry. No, NEO. All right, let's get this right this time. NEOE. Is that it? NEOE, I think it is. All right, now let's see. All right. Yeah, so it is NEOE, but it is not showing up yet. So what you're going to want to do is when you're trying to do it, you're going to do, I'll put this in the comments, NEOE, and then you would put in, for example, Q day. So you do it something like what I just dropped in. That will work because it does work for Sol. Like I have Sol working, and Sol is on the Neo, and with that one there I have NEOE. I believe that's an O. Let me just take a look. Yeah, it is an O. NEOE, and then I have Sol after, and that one does work. Also, I've got it working for, let's see, who else do I have it working? HBTE, it's working, so NEOE. So once it's working, that'll work. That'll work. So, yeah. So basically, well, it's basically NEOE. There we go. Put that in once it's ready. Right now it's not ready. Right now we don't have it. It's not showing up yet. Hopefully soon. I've noticed with most of these newer ones, I usually am able to pull the data a month to 2 months after. So hopefully soon. Hopefully soon, Northern Gal. All right, Defense says, guys, let's just go. Why am I small? I should be big if I'm not using this stuff. I keep forgetting, and I leave it there. But then again, what ends up happening is one of you will ask something, and I want to pull it up, and I'll forget to. It's a mess. It's a mess. Defense. What I would do to pay myself that $2,000 cooker is get it when the income I receive from my investments reach $2,000 a month. Okay, there you go. There you go. That's another option too. Rory says I use Open Office. I can link to the web addresses of securities for prices, etc. That's all I can do. Okay, fair enough. And Jack says I wouldn't even e-transfer on Marketplace in general. So many scammers. Yeah, absolutely. And, oh, Gursky picked up 100 canny. All right, there we go. Somebody's in on the canny train already. Reverend Ramirez says, as a Canadian, we invest in our banks, even European banks too, but U.S. retail investors tend to not invest in their big banks or trust them. Why? A lot of it is our banking system. So the Canadian banking system, it's actually based off of the Scottish system. So when, that's kind of one of those things that a lot of the early immigrants brought with them. So it is resilient. It's huge. I actually watched a YouTube video on it once. It was very fascinating. But it's designed in such a way that it's very, very hard to take down a Canadian bank. And the European system, a lot of them are built the exact same way. Also the Australian system. The Australian banking system is another very resilient one. The U.S. one, not so much. The U.S. one is not so much. Now, the main U.S. banks are pretty safe. They're pretty reliable. But they also have a lot of the regional banks. And those regional banks are the ones that they're flimsy at best when things get really, really, really bad. So, and as we saw with the banking crisis, it was a lot of the regional banks. Some of those banks were collapsing or being purchased up because otherwise they would have collapsed. So yeah, that's kind of the whole thing. So I have full faith in the Canadian banking system. Now, mind you, we're talking the big ones. Something like, I'm not going to say, I don't want to say anything bad about EQ Bank. I love EQ Bank, but, they don't have that same resilience as the bigger banks because, they're kind of another design on their own, like, EQ, Laurentian, even Canadian Western, which is now well, they're now part of National Bank, so they're fine at the moment. But the big banks in Canada, they're very resilient. Same with Europe and Australia. So I love all of those. Gursky says, let's see, and decided to get some base and Amax this week and a couple of CNR. Okay. Air Canada, that was a joke. That's funny. It's funny now that I think about it. Rory, I'm waiting to scoop up 100 plus of bank, maybe 80 of HYLD. And Jim says, nice, I got Canny on my list at add, going to dump pay and BTCY to fill out my list so my portfolio is more diversified. Nice. Thanks, Candace. I have it working for HBTE. Nice to have confirmation that those aren't linking for you either. Appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. All right. Paul says, scrape simply Wall Street with import XML at least for Google Sheets. I got examples on Discord newbie channel. There we go. Yeah, guys, we do have a Discord over there. Feel free. And if you ever want the link, you just got to type in !Discord. I'll do it right now. And that will bring up the link to the Discord. All right, S-Day and Zyborg says, I subscribed to one of those stock recommendation services a few years back. They recommended Silicon Valley Bank about 3 months before they collapsed. Well, I imagine they lost a lot of, silicone, yeah, but I imagine that service certainly lost a lot of credibility with that one. Let's see, posted S-Day in Discord newbie channel. All right, let's see here. Scratch. Okay, there we go. And Discord, and there we are. We're finally caught up, folks. All right, guys. This has been another fantastic show. I'm going to let you guys go enjoy your weekend now. I always love these shows. We will be back here Sunday. I think it's going to be a huge show on Sunday because so many good news stories to bring to the mix. So Sunday's going to be fantastic. I hope to see most of you there. And yeah, until then, guys, holy banana bread. Another show is in the can. So have a fantastic weekend. See you guys Sunday.